Hello, my good people, and welcome to another video log of Mike's Computer Tips. Hope everybody's doing good today. I'm gonna put the fan on. It may sound like a generator, and I hope it doesn't bother anybody. Fortunately, down here in Florida, it's really hot, so gotta have some kind of fan. I do have the AC on, but that makes more noise than the fan. Sometimes you can feel that hot air coming out. What do I have in store today? Oh yeah, I bought these on Temu. Really cheap. These are US. You can put in other words, you can put your hard drive in here. It's a hard drive Jobby enclosure. Put your hard drive in here, your SSD, and then you can access it via USB with another computer, which is kind of neat. It's a cheap way to save your information. You pull out your old hard drive, you put all your information on here, and after you do that, then you can plug it in and go to the user folder, double click the user folder, and you'll see where all the information is on your computer. This is another way you can do it, and I actually kind of like these better, but it looks a little bit nicer when it's in an enclosure. But this is your standard, hard drive to USB on your computer. So I'm going to get my mouse ready. I have this external mouse that somebody gave me, and I don't really use mice too much. This is a nice HP wireless one, but I bought a computer a while back, pretty reasonably cheap priced, and the person I bought it from gave me this nice mouse pad and a USB mouse, so I've been using that. It's kind of like a lazy person's mouse because you don't have to move around. You can put your feet up on the desk, plug this into the USB. That's your controller, and then you can operate your mouse just anyway, just like that. So that's kind of a cool feature. So I'm using that. I got up early this morning because before the heat started to kick in, because once it gets really hot, then it's like 3 times or 4 times as hard to get anything done outside because it's just too miserable to work in the summer. So let me put this away until I need it, or if I ever need it. I have a few of these. These are like, I get these on the cheap website. You can get them on Temu, or there's another one that's called, I forgot the name of that one, but there's a couple cheap ones out there. You can buy these little adapters that kind of come in handy when you need them. Plus, if you don't want a lot of hard drives in your computer, you can have a few of those and just label them what they are, and then after you label them, all you got to do is just keep them in a safe place, and then use them when you want them. That's kind of a neat thing to do, so you don't have to worry about losing your data. Everything is going to be on an external device, and you can even take that with you wherever you want to, bring it. If you go on a trip and you want to have all your pictures or movies or files. Let's say you're on vacation or something, you could always carry a laptop or use a laptop or a desktop at a lot of these hotels. I think all of them now have computers for people to use in the lobby. You could just pop that in there and access all your information, which is kind of good if you're, in business, or if you like playing games, you can keep games on your hard drive. So it really comes in handy.
You will never feel unsafe again with.
When I got into computers a lot of years ago, it didn't take too long to realize what was real important about computers, what you needed to do as a user. And one of them, I would say almost at the top of the list, probably is doing backups. And that's really, really important if you use a computer, because if you do backups and save your information off the computer, if anything happens to the computer or the hard drive and it's not recoverable, that happens a lot of times, and the hard drive just isn't working at all, or your computer's not recognizing it at all, that it can get real expensive really quick. I know, because I had a couple of incidents where I had to send people's hard drive to cross country to see if it can be recovered, and you're talking $800 to $3,000 usually for them to do it, if they can do it. A lot of times they can't, and they're just waiting around with your hard drive, with your important information that you can't access. It's in another state, and the years go by and they're still waiting for the manufacturer to send them information or more information to be able to get to the drive. It can get really confusing and really, crazy. So Savior said and nobody thinks that their hard drive's ever going to fail, but I can tell you that the manufacturer only warranties them for like 3 to 5 years. They're only going to guarantee that your hard drive is going to work for that amount of time. And if it fails during, a couple of years, you could send it back to the manufacturer. You can do a return over the internet, and they'll send you a new one 90% of the time. All you have to do is you don't even actually have to have the receipt or anything. All you need to do is give them the information that's on that drive, and they know that it's their drive, whether it's Seagate, Western Digital, or now there's so many companies making these hard drives, because it's a big industry with solid state hard drives now, that there's so many different kinds, and they'll send you another one. So that's a good thing, but it's not going to have your information on it. So what you need to do is, if you have anything important on your computer, you definitely got to save it offline, so that way you'll have it. And I don't really recommend DVDs anymore. That's kind of the old way. That's okay, but I would say if you're gonna have it like on an external hard drive that you only use once in a while, it's a lot safer, because you're just going to be plugging it in once in a while. You're not going to be using it like every day. And the new hard drives don't have any moving parts, which makes them a lot faster, the solid state drives. But there's a downfall to that in the long run, is that, let's say the drive fails after a couple of years, and believe me, they do. You could have one for 10 years and never have a problem, or you could have one for 8 years and never have a problem. But eventually they can overheat, or it's electronics, so eventually something may fail down the road. So you want to make sure you have your information backed up really safe. That way you can still access it, and it won't even matter if your computer breaks down or you get another computer. You can always just hook it right up USB and get right to your information again. So that's one of the most important things that I did learn when I started computers back in 1998. You know, me and my younger brother, we used to mess around with them and stuff like that. And I moved to Pennsylvania, and eventually I went to computer school, and my dad even helped pay for that. I remember that in the mid 90s, and yeah, that was a good thing. And then I started a business where, like a side business, working on computers for people and learning, getting as much knowledge as I could. And a lot of things change over the years, like, little things, because, they just get, technology changes really fast. The graphic cards get faster, so you got to have a certain motherboard that supports it. Gaming motherboard will support like only 2 different CPUs, and then you got to get another board if you want to upgrade. Then you have a choice to put 2 different option CPUs in. So there's, things change over the years. So you have to change with them. You have to learn stuff like that. You still have to know stuff, and you have to, when you run into that issue, you have to go to like in the back of your head, or you go to AI is a helpful thing to help you remember stuff you already know, but just kind of I use that as like a reference, because AI is like your brain, but you can access it quicker, and it kind of lets you remember that, oh yeah, I already know that, but it refreshes you on that information. So AI can be a good help tool. You could ask it like any kind of questions, and you can get some reliable answers, which I like. It's quick, easy, and as long as you ask the right question, you'll get the right answer. A lot of people don't like AI, but it does come in handy for a lot of things. If you want to know what's in your medication, for example, you can go to AI and type it in, and it'll tell you what's in there and what it's for. I mean, if your lawnmower breaks, I had a lawnmower issue not long ago, and I went to AI and stuff. So anything that you could think of, you can use AI for. It really is a quick, helpful tool that a lot of businesses and a lot of people are using these days, because it's not only gives you good information, it's very quick. You can, like Google, you can find out anything about anything on Google. Well, AI is the same way. So it's kind of like an extension of Google. You want to learn something, you go to Google, or you go to YouTube even, and somebody has a video on what you want to find out. So that's a good thing. I think it is. People are just afraid, thinking that AI is going to take over everything, and I don't think it's ever going to take over everything, because it just doesn't make any. There's no clear fact to that right now, so I'm not. What can it do? Make your life easier. If you go to the supermarket, they have these self-checkouts, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't like to do self-checkout. If I have a lot of items, I don't want to stand there and check out all my items, when they can have somebody at a cashier and pay them, for a job, and that person can make an income, support his family. I'd rather go to them. So usually, if I only have a couple items, I may go to self-checkout if it's real crowded in a store. But most of the time I go to a regular cashier. Also, now people are buying things online. You don't even have to leave your house, you know. You can go online and just pull out your phone and type in what you want and push maybe one or two buttons, and you already have paid for it and have a delivery time and date. So that's another like really helpful thing and easy. So, you know, people are looking for, you know, we're in 2025, people are looking for fast, easy, and affordable. Those are the three things. Mostly fast. Everybody wants everything yesterday. Even, you know, we're even still have to wait for Amazon. You have to wait for eBay. You know, when you order something, it'll come faster than, you know, like the post office, most likely, but, you know, there's still a time frame that you have to wait. A lot of times you can pay for overnight, but you'll have to pay extra to get things the next day. Not everything is qualifies for that, so you usually have to wait a couple days. You know, people want everything quick. You know, it's really changed the world a lot, I think, with social media, because people used to converse more and, you know, more sociable. Now everything is like really quick. You know, before, you know, if you wanted to learn something, you had to open up like a book and find out, you know, the old way, which in a lot of extent, it's, you know, it's relaxing to read a book, you know. Sometimes it's better to read a book if you have the time. But in the age we're in now, everything is just like really quick at your fingertips. So, you know, everybody wants that. You want to buy a pair of pants, you know, put in your size on Amazon, you got the color, the style, which, you know, order it. A couple days later, you know, they'll probably throw it on the floor in front of your house, in front of your door, or if they're nice, they'll put it inside your porch. Because that's another thing, you never know where you're going to put it. If I order something, sometimes it'll be like on the table outside my house. As soon as I open the door, it's sitting there. And sometimes it's on the ground, you know, outside my porch, you know, next to the cat food where you know, we feed the cats outside. Sometimes it'll be in the mailbox, so you just kind of never know. Generally, if you order from the post office or from eBay or from FedEx, well, maybe the post office and eBay, usually it'll be in your mailbox. Amazon and FedEx and UPS, usually that's, you know, at your door or close to your door. You know, it reminds me of the Uber drivers when they deliver food. You know, they put it down, they take a picture of it, and then they leave to prove that they left it. You know, and some people like that idea, some people don't, but, you know, with the world being the way it is, everything is delivered fast. And it's even worse on holidays, you know, because Valentine's Day, people are ordering flowers. I mean, so many, you know, these, you know, Amazon trucks are all over. They even have like third-party companies that they hire to deliver for them, and it gets really crazy, you know. So many different deliveries. They're like trucks everywhere. They opened up an Amazon in my town like about a year ago. It's like, you know, a gigantic building with like 20 or 30 trucks outside. Those are just the ones that they use to make local trips. They have these big tractor trailers that, you know, are loaded up and they go from state to state. So it's a real big business, you know. um, how we get everything quick. I remember years ago, you order something online or from the post office, you sent a letter, it would be like 4 to 7 days before that person would get the letter, you know. And post office is still pretty slow considering, like, if you have an option, I always go with UPS. I find UPS seems like it gets there quicker. But I guess it depends on what you send and how heavy it is and all that. But if I have a choice to mail something, UPS or post office, I always pick the UPS. It's usually a little cheaper too. And we have our UPS store like a mile down the road. It's pretty convenient. And nowadays you just have to bring it in and they give you a label or you scan it and drop it off and ships pretty quick. I think like every day they take all the packages they have and just start shipping them. So, there'll always be a job for somebody that wants to work at the UPS or FedEx or the post office or any kind of carrier or delivery. I mean, between that and food, because you have to eat, and healthcare, because people need, healthcare, as people get sick, those kind of things are always going to be in high demand. And housing too, you need a place to sleep. So everybody needs a house and some food. So maybe at the top of the list you got, like your house is your first priority with your food. And then after that it's like transportation, you have a car, you have to make payments or pay for it in cash. Or, plus then you have to have insurance and everything that goes along with it. So there's always, I look at it as the top tier would be your housing is most important and your food. And then the rest of it is like a ladder, You need a car, you gotta get a job, or you just need a car for, just to get from point A to point B, shopping or whatever. Or you have to take public transportation, that still costs money. So everything is kind of prioritized, but this shipping thing is just like so crazy. I mean, it's just really amazing how fast information and products travel considerably. I remember years ago when I worked at the post office, they would, somebody would mail a letter and it'd be like, you just never knew when that letter would come to somebody, And even, they got a lot better over the years. Now, generally, it'll be like 3 or 4 days to get a letter, sent to somebody. But back in the 70s and the 80s and probably before that, you would mail a letter and it would take like, who knows how long to get there. So, and I always looked at the post office as being the last one to kind of be fast, because they're kind of still like the grandfather of the travel, of the mailing system. I think UPS is and FedEx kind of took a lot of their business. And most people do email now, so a lot of the post office business, they lost as far as people sending, letters to people. When you can do everything over the phone, you can pay bills over the phone. You don't have to mail them, in the regular mail and wait for it to be posted on your account. You can do it online in a matter of minutes, whether it be your computer or your phone. And so a lot of things have really changed. And like when I grew up, we had, if you wanted to meet somebody or know where your friends are, you'd all go to the park, or you'd ride bicycles, and you'd all meet up with your friends. Now the kids, they meet up with their friends, they go online and they play games with each other. And because all these kids and even adults, do gaming, that's where you meet up. You don't have you have a different type of interaction. It's not person to person, it's not personal like it was back in the day. It wasn't, you didn't have to go to a certain place, physically. Now technology will take you there, in a split second. So yeah, the world has definitely changed a lot, and there's a lot of conveniences that it has given us. I think because of those conveniences, we, lose a sense of that, personalization thing, because we don't meet face to face as much as we did, years ago. We lost that, person to person interaction. Now it's just a click away. So that's kind of how it goes in this society. A click away. But enough rambling on. I think I'm going to end this video. And again, I appreciate all you guys for supporting me over the years. If you're new here and it's the first time you're seeing me, we talk about everything computers and everything else in general. So consider subscribing. You're already watching, you might as well subscribe to the channel. And like, share, leave a comment. I love comments. I answer all my comments. And if you have a computer related question, you could always just leave it and I'll get back to you and I'll give you the best possible answer that I can for you. So until the next video, I will see you guys later, and thanks for coming. Have an incredible day. Bye.